All right, John Blum has years of experience in law enforcement. He served as a qualified expert in dozens of cases just like this one. John, thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, so we just saw part of that edited video. It comes from police, came out just days after the incident. We do see a victim bleeding on the floor. We also see that suspect trying to run. In your estimation, was lethal force justified in this situation?
Well, let me just say that I think that anybody, even a former officer, who could say whether or not lethal force was justified if they weren't the ones there on the scene would be misrepresenting the facts. I think for me to say whether or not it's justified and objectively reasonable, you have to be there on the scene. And I think someone would need to have those facts, and the officer who did the shooting has to provide that information to determine whether or not the force was reasonable.
Well, and absolutely. And we know that, those officers have to make a lot of split-second decisions very quickly, many times, one right after the other. We do hear those officers in the video yelling, "Slow down, slow down." How do you think that potentially factors into this?
Well, obviously, they were responding to an active shooter, a rapid deployment situation, and the information that they have, there could be a person with a gun. So the slow down comments, which are there in the video, definitely need to dig a little further into the context of how they were made. I believe one of the officers was saying slow down because the officer who did the shooting had the rifle and he was trying to move into the front. And then again, you do hear other officers saying slow down. And again, the investigation probably is going to dive a little deeper into the context of how fast they were moving and what was happening at that time.
All right, and John, again, I do want to reiterate, this video is edited, so it's possible that there were commands to the suspect, but in this version of the video, we don't hear any commands yelled to that suspect. Does that matter?
Well, California recently changed its use of force law back in 2020 in January. And one of the things that was in that new law was that officers need to identify themselves and warn the intent to use force. I would expect the Los Angeles Police Department to investigate that portion of the investigation thoroughly. And to your point, yeah, the communication is critical in any deadly force situation. And again, but when reasonable and prudent, and you can do it, but you need to communicate.
And as I've said, we absolutely know and acknowledge police have a very dangerous job. We can see with our own eyes that suspect posing an obvious danger to others. But we also know this was a public place. It was just days before Christmas. There were a lot of people in that store. Was there an opportunity, do you think, maybe for de-escalation before the use of that lethal force?
Well, obviously, de-escalation is one tactic and one technique that can be very effective in these types of situations. And the training for that particular skill and tactic has been widespread and moving more into the field. These situations are rapidly evolving. They're quick. And again, the investigation should do that and look into that a little bit further. And to your point about it being a crowded place, the California Post issued standards for 2021, and standard number 7 basically says that an officer shall consider their surrounding and potential risk to bystanders to the extent reasonable when discharging their firearms. So that standard is there. And so again, looking at video, body-worn camera video can be like looking through a straw. And
right.
We don't really necessarily have all of the facts, and we need to let those facts come out and let the authorities make a decision.
Well, my last question for you then, John, you saw this video, the facts that have been released so far. What was your initial reaction?
My initial reaction was, it's just terrible. My heart goes out to the family of the girl who lost her life. I have an 8-year-old son and a 5-year-old daughter, and I just, as a parent, I can't imagine what they must be going through. And this is a tragedy all the way around. One of the things too, though, the Los Angeles Police Department, they transparent. They came out right away. In my perspective, in 30 years of law enforcement, they're getting the information out, which is critical, and I think that's important to build trust, and as much trust as we can here.
Well, 30 years experience in law enforcement, John Blum. We thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me. Have a good night.
Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to click on the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.